So in Lugano last week, of course, we've had 2 weeks meetings back to back. It's interesting in itself. We always look very carefully that when there is a Lugano year as to whether that's going to impact both who comes to EHA and what's presented at EHA, and clearly it hasn't. But I think the broad themes that I talked about that were at EHA were absolutely the themes that were seen in Lugano last week. Big exciting data emerging from 2 different CAR T-cell trials. I think many people are aware that the CAR T-cell programs have been very academically led in 1 or 2 centers in the US. And what's clear is the companies that are involved in doing this, Kite, Novartis, and Juno, are all working to kind of make this technology much more available. Both Kite and Novartis both presented the results of very exciting clinical data in lymphoma last week. Again, checkpoint inhibitors in terms of the responses in lymphoma. Pierluigi Zanzani showed some very interesting data on the use of this in primary mediastinal lymphoma. Novel agents, so an EZH2 inhibitor, that was the first presentation. This is targeting a mutation which is present in about 20% of patients with lymphoma, showing that this drug, if you had just looked at it in all patients with lymphoma, the response rate looked quite low, but if you looked at the responses in the patients with the mutation, very exciting data. So one of the first types of studies that what we call a biomarker, that is, you only use the drug in the patients who express that target. So part and parcel of thinking about how you incorporate into a study, trying to identify who are the patients who are going to respond best. Why do we want to do that? Well, we want to make sure the drug works very effectively in patients, and we also don't want to expose patients to drugs to which they're not likely to respond. So exciting biomarker analyses, and we've been talking about biomarkers for years, but I think that was a perfect study of showing how it can impact who should have a drug and how we should identify the patients that should have that drug going forward.